Hey, we're live.
Hey, Earth. This is Robert with Dirty Sprocket in the Sprocket Docket. You may notice that I am not Derek. Derek Olson, who is our normal host, but hopefully I won't screw this up too bad. Derek is getting ready for a play that he's directing tomorrow night and this weekend, so I am jumping in to fill his place. Hi, everybody. We got a full house tonight. I'm going to introduce everybody. First, we'll start with Jake.
Hello. Am I back, or am I still the Sprocket Docket logo?
No, you're back.
Okay, good.
How's your week going?
It's long. Going to be actually continuing to work after this, so
Really? You guys work all the time.
yeah, invoicing. So
Oh,
end of the month is almost there.
that doesn't sound fun. Next, we have Matt. Matt Pittman. How is you buddy?
Oh, it's all right.
Look at how comfortable you are. You just kicked back, about half laying down. There's some funky alcohol going on over there earlier. What are you drinking?
I got a margarita here.
Really? You really drink margaritas for real?
I do.
All right.
Wow, there's a lot of judgment here tonight.
There's a lot of judgment. It's better than curds. That crap they were talking about last week, it's nasty. So
Yeah, what kind of tequila are you drinking?
good
there?
for you. Me?
Patron.
Oh,
Patron. See, sponsored by Patron. I think we're moving up in the world.
I'm down with Patron. I'm cool with Patron. All right, we gotta move on. So if you'll notice, right over my other shoulder, not the one that the pen's pointing at, but the other one, you'll see Ryan back there. He's borrowing my kitchen area for this evening. He's also joining us. How you doing, Ryan?
Oh, I'm doing all right.
All right.
Kicking it
Kicking it.
live.
Okay, that's us. Robert, Jake, Matt, and Ryan, and no Derek. So we got to make him proud. So welcome to Sprocket Docket number 11. Tonight we're going to talk about. If there's a funny echo, I apologize. We're having some minor technical issues. I can hear it. I don't know if you guys out there can hear it, but I can hear it. Anyway, we're going to talk about some epic movie production stories, some really weird crap that'll blow your mind, hopefully. But before we get into that, I want to go over a couple things from last week. Our second MySQL podcast dropped, which I thought was really excellent. What did you guys think? Did you guys listen to it? I know Jake did because he edits the thing.
I actually listened to it twice after that, but that's purely to inflate our numbers on iTunes.
Yeah, I did that too. I read it. What about you, man? Did you listen, or are you one of those I don't listen to the stuff that I do guys?
I'm kind of one of those guys. I might download it and listen to it tomorrow.
All right.
You know, I can kind of be one of those guys, but if it's long enough in between when we recorded it, I can actually kind of enjoy it again later. If it's like the same day or later that time, it just really doesn't do it for me.
I kind of know some of the stuff that I record, like the night of, you're really excited about it, but if you listen to it the next day, it'll suck. Like all you hear is all the crap that's wrong with it.
And then a week later?
Yeah, if you
better?
wait a while, yeah, you can appreciate what it was. What about you, Ryan? Did you get it? Oh.
I'm gonna move to a different room and see if that helps your audio issues.
So you're going to
And
move...
then I won't be able to hear you.
Don't go in the room with the padlock on.
I don't know where I'm going.
First left.
It's like something into the Blair
No,
Witch
second
Project.
left. Second left. Go to the second left.
It's just like the Blair Witch Project.
Just go sit in the bathtub.
Yeah. That's it. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go help him real quick.
This one's locked.
All right, Matt, you're up.
All right, here we go.
We're down 2 people. What do we do?
All right.
Panic.
Kind of hoping this is going to be better than the last one, but it's not. So
Don't show them my room.
Well, we just took the. I'm gonna show them.
man, so not only did I just share Robert's address in the chat, now everybody has a tour of his house.
Okay.
Yes.
Back, quiet, Matt.
Now we have access to his room.
God, Derek's gonna be so mad.
Here's the bed.
I can't believe there's
The
that much
action
porn in there.
happens.
There's that much wood in there?
Porn.
And that's not porn. That's collectibles.
Oh,
All the porn's on the
nerd
on the
porn.
computer. Okay, so now that we've made fun of my home, the sanctity of my abode, can we move on? Are you comfortable now, Ryan?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I don't hear that funny echo. Okay, so yeah, Sprocket Docket. Ryan, did you get it, or not Sprocket? My sequel. Did you get a chance to listen to my sequel at all?
I did, but then you guys were like boring me, and so I stopped. No, I listened to it. It was good.
Well, that's
You
good.
know, I
to
think
I
it was
liked
missing something, and maybe that was a little bit of a Ryan Brewer.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
needed
it
some. We missed you.
was missing me, wasn't it?
I did. Okay, so I got to bring this up because I think it's kind of funny, and also people will complain about it later. So on the second and third listenings, there were some mispronunciations.
Only the second and third time you listen to it. That's pretty good.
I'm slow. See, so anyhow, so at one point we're talking about, and I got to bring this up too. At one point, Click and Clack, the Tappet brothers was brought up. And Derek made an unfortunate comment that he's really sorry for, so don't hate us for that. He didn't mean it. But when I defended them, or tried to defend them, I said Click and Clack, the Taggett brothers, and they did not play tag. That wasn't their thing. They're the Tappet brothers. And so I felt bad about that. But then, Jake, we had a problem with G's, I guess, because you called General Zod General Zog.
I stand by it.
There will be fanboys ready to whip your ass if we don't correct that. So
It would have been a better movie if it was Zog.
it probably would have been. Probably would have been a better movie if a lot of things were different. So I wanted to clear that up. And then also, so people that listen, if you don't listen to the podcast, listen to the podcast because it's pretty good. I think we got a pretty good thing going on here. But part of the My Sequel podcast is we like to round out the podcast with what we think a sequel to the movie that we're doing the podcast about should have been. And normally Ryan is with us, but Ryan wasn't with us. So I'm curious, Ryan, what would your Man of Steel sequel look like?
My Man of Steel sequel would be an actual sequel to Man of Steel, for starters.
Well,
I
that's
don't
good to
know. But I mean, I definitely wouldn't do Batman versus Superman as my follow-up.
So I'd like to point out for a second that we spoke a little bit before this. We tried to solve the audio problem. As soon as we go live, Ryan picks up his laptop and he's like, I'm going to solve this now. We also prepped and gave Ryan this question. I mean, be it 5 minutes before, and his response was, I don't know. Next question.
Derek's
Well,
never
I was so
gonna let
busy
us
worrying
finish
about
the
the audio issues that I didn't have a chance to actually think about the question. So
I'm pretty sure Derek probably paid Ryan to sabotage this so we look bad when Derek's not around.
that was part of the plan. I have to admit that now.
so that the world's convinced that we need Derek to run these.
I know. I just think that a more straightforward sequel to Man of Steel would have been nice to actually see. Just Superman going against Lex Luthor and not getting everybody else involved with it. I think DC and Warner Brothers were in too much of a hurry to get to Justice League, and so they just kind of bypassed doing a direct sequel.
Not to derail you, but man, Robert, that is a nice looking closet you got there.
It's a beautiful closet. I keep
Man.
saying it's great.
Do you want a closer look?
No.
Here.
And you guys are terrible people.
I'm mobile now.
Yeah. Just remember, you got to come out of that room sooner or later.
Yeah, and plus his battery is probably going to die before he even gets to talk.
I know, right?
So, one thing we didn't talk about, that I was surprised that we brought up, that I thought about afterwards, is that the whole Batman v Superman story that they ran with is a Batman comic book story. And that seems odd that they would pick a Batman comic book story for a Superman sequel. Just wanted to throw that out there. But, alright, so you would have went with Superman versus Lex Luthor, again. Like we haven't seen that a zillion times. But no, hey, that's cool. Show my closet again. No, I'm just kidding. Just don't do that. Alright, moving on.
There's a friggin' dresser over here. I'll show him what's in that.
That's not very impressive either.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know it sounds like a rehash, but and it is a rehash. I mean, obviously we've seen Superman versus Lex Luthor a million times before, but the Man of Steel was in and of itself a complete reboot of the franchise and of the series. Unlike Superman Returns, which was supposed to be a direct sequel to the original movies, and so I think that you do kind of need to establish that. I mean, even the Dark Knight movies, the second movie in the trilogy was the Joker, and as if that's not a rehash itself. But that's just it, though. I mean, Lex Luthor is Superman's Moriarty. That's his ultimate villain, and so
Arch nemesis.
yes, his arch
That's the
nemesis.
term I couldn't find when we were podcasting, and
Yes.
Robert had to tell me.
Apparently, we couldn't find any terms. We had trouble with all kinds of terms. All right.
So we have a serious question then for you, Ryan. How do you
Uh-oh.
fall on the issue of the red underpants?
Of the what?
The red underpants.
Are you
The red
pro-
underpants? The
Yeah,
fact that Superman doesn't have his underpants anymore? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, we were pretty
Oh.
divided about that issue during the podcast.
Yeah, it's not clear that he doesn't have them. It's just evident that he doesn't have them on the outside anymore. So, I mean, where do you fall on that?
I don't care. I really don't. I'm glad that he's clothed.
You're telling me, and then this is a big spoiler alert, that if he was wearing red underpants, he would still be alive? That's my theory.
That's your theory? The red underpants? is
That's
what-
where he gets his power, right? The
I
red
don't-
sun, the red,
I don't
or the
think
yellow
so.
sun, red underpants.
I don't think you're reaching. Okay, moving on. If you haven't
That's
listened to
a
that,
very, very good, serious question for me, though. I mean, now I'm going to contemplate this for the rest of my night.
yeah,
The red underpants.
yeah. So if you haven't listened to that podcast, go listen to it, Matt. It's a good podcast. You'll like it. It's good.
And if you haven't
that
thought
was
about
there.
Superman's red underpants, go ahead and look up some images and see what it.
You will if you
Inspires
listen to the podcast because that's all Jake talks about is Superman's red underoos.
I believe
Next
you brought it up.
next week, we're gonna drop the Force Unleashed, the Force Awakens, My Sequel podcast, which we had a pretty good time with that. But we did that one a while back though, so I don't remember a lot of the details. So I'm anxious to hear it for the first time after recording it. So
I think that one's a full crew between
Yeah,
all
we
of us
were all-
and
was,
Derek.
yeah.
So
yeah, we were all there for that one. Yeah, that one should be pretty good too. So look, we're gonna
Is that the
drop
one
that
we-
one next Thursday.
We recorded that one at my place, didn't we?
Yep,
Yep.
that's when we did your place. Yep,
Ah.
it was. So that's what happened last week. That's what's gonna happen next week. Prop guns. Jake, you got a rough cut of prop guns?
yep. So Rough Guns is pretty much rough cut right now, and I am working on the effects in After Effects specifically, and I pretty much got the motion tracked on your head in that, and I'm going to start bringing the effects of the actual the prop gun shooting and all that. So
Cool. I'm
you
excited
should
to
be
see
seeing
that.
something before too long.
Nice. All right. And then Derek and I got to do a little editing for You Can't Refuse, which will be coming out here not too long. We got the basement scene roughed in, so we're making a little bit of headway on that. So the stuff that we got behind the scenes stuff is coming along, and we're gonna have some more original videos out before you know it.
And then Derek and I kind of got together and hashed out a few ideas for the next Comic Chronicles. So we've got a little bit of progress worked out there. I think once everybody's schedule gets a little better, we're going to get together and maybe kind of hash out some bigger picture ideas on it with a group. So
And we're thinking about shooting that in May. Is that the plan? I think that was what
I
Derek.
think tentatively, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's always fun. So yeah, that's what we got going on. Sounds good. And then, so this is going to be interesting. Next Sunday, so Civil War's coming out. Captain America Civil War's coming out. A lot of people are excited about that. I'm excited about that one. And Derek came up with this idea for us to do kind of a video blog podcast thing, having a movie marathon of Phase 2 leading up to that. So we're going to shoot that next Sunday, I think is planned. So that ought to be fun, different. We're obnoxious enough that after 18 hours of watching movies, we should say some pretty whacked out shit, right? You guys are all
There's
gonna
beer
be there.
involved. I can start saying obnoxious things right away.
We'll get you some beer. We're grown ups. We can do that shit.
And I'm just kind of obnoxious all around, so.
You gonna make it to that one, Matt?
Yeah.
You gonna bring your margaritas? Margaritas?
We'll see.
We'll see. Okay. Because if you do, you gotta bring enough to share. That's the rule.
I don't really care about the margarita. Just bring the tequila. That's really all that matters to me.
I just polished it off. There's no more.
Matt's going to fall asleep on us before we're done talking here.
We can fix it. I know, he's totally laid back. He's like...
Looks like he's already in bed. He probably has his footy pajamas on underneath that shirt.
Chilling like a villain.
No, I'm like laying here sweating just profusely.
The tequila sweats?
Maybe.
All right, let's move on to our main discussion then. Movie production, epic movie production stories. So, here's the thing: every once in a while, Hollywood film guys, they make a movie, and sometimes shit goes terribly wrong, and it makes for a really great story. Sometimes everything goes perfectly right, and it makes for a great story, and sometimes they're just great stories because they were great movies. But anyway, we each come up with a story that we really thought was kind of interesting. We wanted to share with you guys, and hopefully it'll be entertaining. So, I want to start with Jake, because you're first.
Starting.
Yeah, well, you're first in my box, and it's just easy to go down the lines, because I forget you guys' names, because we don't hang out normally. And when you guys aren't talking, it tells me your name. So anyway, Jake, what is your movie production, epic movie production story?
Well, I chose to talk about the chest burster scene from the Aliens movies. This is basically Ridley Scott's directorial debut, and he kind of really wanted to set a tone of isolation with the movie and being trapped, and you're millions of miles away from home. You know, and the tagline for the movie was, "In space, nobody can hear you scream." So the whole production was kind of based around this idea of getting the actors into a proper mindset to kind of hopefully convey that to the audience, you know. So the Nostromo, which is the spaceship that they fly in, he actually had them build it as a self-contained set. So to get, like, if you wanted to go up to the bridge of the ship, you literally had to walk through all the different bay areas and the medic area and all that to get there. The lighting in the ship was actually built, or the majority of it was built into the ship, so it's actually, you know, ambient lighting, again, so it's kind of taken less away from the actors, making them feel like they're all there. So the whole scene, Ridley Scott is kind of trying to paint this picture of isolation, trying to get into the actors' heads a little bit. So when it comes down to the chest burster scene, the cast actually knows that it's going to happen. It's in the script, but the only thing the script says is, "This thing emerges." That's the quote. That's all the more that the script says about what happens. And this is kind of the, you know, the most memorable scene from the movie. If I'm going too fast, jump in. But so basically, Ridley Scott basically tries to keep what they're going to do a secret from the cast. He keeps them off the set as they're getting John Hurt rigged up with the fake chest cavity that's filled with animal intestines and kidneys and livers and stuff like that. And they actually have a crew under the table with a rig that's going to pump 6 gallons of fake blood out per take. So they've got this all set up, and the cast knows nothing about it. But they do want to get it in one take, because the whole idea here is they want to get a reaction that's legitimate from the cast, right? And they also didn't want to clean up a big mess multiple times. So they're set, they're ready to go. The cast comes in. Again, they know this is a big scene, it's critical. It's been kept secret, so they're kind of on edge. You know, they don't know what to expect. Ridley Scott calls action, and guess what happens?
The chest burster scene. We
No.
know. Oh,
The rig fails.
I remember that. They had a false start.
Yeah, so basically the xenomorph baby doesn't even break through John Hurt's shirt. It's pretty anticlimactic. Everyone kind of laughs, and basically John Hurt has to take a shower. The crew resets. So it kind of blew the surprise for the cast, right? And Ridley Scott probably kind of thinks, well, screw that, you know, we kind of lost it, right? So take 2, they clean everything up. John Hurt's re-rigged, and this time the cast is a little more at ease. They're kind of a little bit closer because they don't really think it's going to be this big thing, right? They're kind of leaning in more over the body. They're right next to it. And the chest cavity literally had small explosives in it to help spray those animal guts all over the place. And again, it's designed to pump out 6 gallons of blood.
Those animal guts were real.
Real animal guts, yeah.
That had been, there's a smell.
And the rumor
that was part of it.
Yeah, that was like they'd kind of been sitting around for a couple days, so they kind of stank.
Yeah.
So anyways, they get re-rigged. Boom, they do it, and it actually works this time. And the actors are more surprised because it didn't work the first time. At least in my opinion, they were expecting something kind of smaller. Then all of a sudden, guts and blood is everywhere. I've heard that some people actually thought, maybe something went wrong and John Hurt was actually injured.
I think I heard that too. The one woman, you could see her fall on screen. That was a real panicked.
Yep.
That was a real fall. Like, she was getting the hell out of there.
Veronica Cartwright gets hit in the face with like a 3-foot stream of blood, and she falls down backwards on the ground. And like, I listened to an interview with her where she goes to get back up, realizes they're still filming, and she has to back in performance mode. So, I mean, end of the story. He kind of took great detail to kind of set all this up for the actors so that they can react appropriately. Get them in the mindset of being isolated in the ship and all this. And then it's screwed up the first time. Then he actually got a better reaction because they weren't expecting it to be great. And when it all comes down to it, they decided it was too much gore and it looked too cheesy. So they reshot the chest burster scene, but they actually used the reactions from the super gory one. So it's kind of a crazy story about how he tried to plan something, didn't work, but it actually worked out better in the end.
Well, yeah, I mean that whole scene is kind of, that's kind of movie history. I mean, that's
scene from the
Yeah, how many times has that been duplicated and parodied, and that's an iconic scene. So they did a good job on that one.
Yep. So that's kind of my crazy production story.
Cool. Now, did it was either, I want to say, wasn't it Ridley Scott who pioneered the lived-in future look for sets?
Yeah. So
did that come from Aliens or Alien? I thought it did.
So basically, well, it was actually Aliens, and I don't know what Robert means by lived in, but I'm assuming you take like 2001: A Space Odyssey, and it's like super clean and everything's prestige white, and then like Star Wars, you kind of see a little bit more space. Is kind of like the Millennium Falcon's not the most beautiful ship, you know what I mean, and all that. Mm-hmm. But he literally had the concept that this is a semi-truck in space. It's hauling mineral ore. These people are rough and tumble. They did the production design based off submarines and places where people have to be compacted in and live in a small area, basically around machinery, and that's what the living quarters are based around. I mean, I think the only thing that's super clean in there is the medical bay, whatever you would call that. And then
we call it a med bay.
Med bay. There you go. Official term, I guess, from an Air Force man. And then their living quarters are pretty clean, but there's porno mags stacked on the walls and stuff. It made it feel a lot more authentic, in my opinion. It felt more realistic. So.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes.
That's my favorite movie of all time.
I liked Aliens better. We're going to have to do a podcast on that one.
I will engage you in a short debate.
All right.
I think they are both incredible, great movies, and I think they are pretty much on equal footing, in my opinion.
Uh-huh.
Alien is a horror film. Aliens is an action film.
I agree with that.
So.
I kind of have the same...
which we should talk about Aliens on My Sequel sometime.
Yeah, we definitely need to do My Sequel on Aliens. But when we were talking about Army of Darkness, how the first Evil Dead was a horror, and then the second Evil Dead was more like an action comedy-ish. Well, less of a horror, but still.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, same thing with Aliens. There were scary parts, but there was
right.
badass machine guns and space marines and
that's why I liked Aliens better, was because of the tank and
the
machine guns and that kind of shit. So, all right, cool. Matt, are you awake?
Okay.
Sober up.
Yeah.
Coffee.
I've been awake the whole time.
Take a quick.
Aliens. I got this.
Yeah, take a quick shower. What you got, Matt? What you got? Pittman.
Okay, so I want to talk about a little film called Fitzcarraldo. It was made by the German director Werner Herzog in the 1980s, and it's a film that was made entirely by crazy people. Because um, this is probably going to be a little long-winded, but bear with me. The plot
Yeah,
of
I did it too.
Fitzcarraldo
So.
is a guy that lives in this city in Peru in the 1800s when like rubber plantations were a big thing in South America, and he's also an opera enthusiast. But there's no opera in Iquitos where he lives. So he hatches this plan to bring opera to Iquitos by exploiting this remote area of the rainforest that hasn't been accessed by like the other plantation owners to harvest rubber and raise the money and start an opera. Okay, so he does this by finding a narrow point between two rivers and hauling a ship from one river to the other over a hill.
Sorry, I just had flashbacks of
Now,
Batman versus Superman.
it's exactly like that.
Okay.
But so what sets this movie apart from a lot of others is that a sane person would do this whole thing of moving a boat from one river to another over a hill by using like maybe models or like some combination of like matte paintings or some kind of special effects like that given the era it was made in. But Werner Herzog decided to actually go 1,500 miles into the rainforest with an actual 300-ton ship and move it at a 40-degree angle over this hill.
Authenticity, my friend. Authenticity.
It's the fact that he did this and it was successful is utterly insane. And it was a movie that was plagued with lots of other problems besides the director having crazy, unattainable goals. Such as at the very beginning, like the original location they were going to shoot in had to be moved and postponed for months because of a war between Peru and Ecuador. The natives
This is an 80s film,
hated
right?
them. What's that?
This is an 80s film, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, took 4 years to make, but that is like the big thing is that's the big set piece in this movie is the moving of the ship from one river to another. Like I think it was a stretch of like hundreds of meters, but it took them like months to do this once they got there. It was just a rather insane feat of filmmaking that no rational person would ever do.
But it was successful. They did
It
it.
was, but what kind of stands out to me about this movie is like, there's movie magic. Like I said, like other people would have done this with like sets or models or something like that. But like something about this, even though they actually did it and it's real, it's still kind of like unimpressive in a way. Like it's
Nothing.
I don't know. There's just like it's totally like you watch it and you're like you can watch it and you're like I'm kind of impressed with this, but this movie is just kind of making me feel nothing. It's very odd. It's a very odd experience.
The Batman versus Superman complex.
So if you watch this movie and you didn't know about the story of the boat, this would not be a great movie. Is that what you're saying?
I don't think it's a great movie anyway. You watch it, and it's
All that for nothing.
Is the boat
Yeah.
a spoiler?
and he was the natives really hated him. He actually got a lot of them to help him do this. Like he had 1,000 of them, like on set as extras and labor and stuff. He got them to help because he promised to help them like fight for their rights to their native lands, which have been in South America. It's a huge issue because they've been encroached on by like settlers and stuff and people
In America.
like mining and stuff, and they've been treated really horribly. Bottom line, and he said he would help them, but that was something that like he had absolutely no power to do, and of course
like
never followed through in any way. So
a metaphor for taking a boat up a hill at a 45-degree angle.
That's what they get for believing a man that pretends for a living.
yeah, but the production was just you really have to like go and read up on this yourselves because like there were things like they were the natives that came and helped them were gone for so long that in order to keep things from like deteriorating, they like brought in prostitutes for them and stuff.
They brought in
Like you don't
prostitutes
hear
for the
about that
locals?
often with film productions, but
That's hilarious.
that and well, let's see if I can find it quick. Um, I like this little passage there that like not only did like he not help them, he actually made their situation worse because not only did he fail to obtain the land rights, but also the very act of relocating some 1,000 natives for 6 months made a large proportion of the tribe vulnerable to invasion by peasants from the mountain regions of Peru. So he also like contributed to them being displaced from their traditional homelands and stuff.
That's
Depressing.
insane. And the movie even sucked. Man, that's too bad.
All that effort and it didn't even pay off.
Well, that's what I said. To me, it's just kind of an unimpressive movie. Like in a way, it just did, like I said, just there's no feeling from it or anything. You're just like, you know,
Was
they
it a
moved
nice
Kind of like
quote?
Avatar.
So we won't be doing a my sequel for that one. That's what you're saying?
Oh, there's a documentary about it, but the documentary kind of sucks too, except for there's some really funny parts where Werner Herzog is like ranting about how terrible the rainforest is and how it's like evil and destroying them. But he's
So,
putting everybody in this situation, so I don't know. It's like he's two different people talking at the same time. It's
did you see the documentary first or the movie first?
I think I saw the movie first, but it's been like 8 to 10 years since I saw the movies. And I just watched the documentary today. I think I'd actually seen it before, but I watched it again tonight. So
That's crazy. That's nuts. All right, Ryan.
Other new Matt.
Yeah, New Paul. What you
New ball.
what you
right.
got?
I didn't really get a chance to prepare a story. I
How are
don't.
you feeling?
All I really know is like I always hear just little blips and things like that have happened on movie sets. You know, like you always hear the tales of how Kubrick was just notorious for torturing his actors, like Shelley Duvall, like completely drove her insane to the point where she absolutely hated making the movie The Shining. Um, Making Tom Cruise open and close a door 127 times. Uh, Weird things like that. I want to say, I think it was. I just recently read a story about. I want to say it was Apocalypse Now, and how. I mean, everybody's kind of familiar with the fact that. Now I can't remember his name. He played the Godfather.
Marlon
Robert.
Brando.
Marlon Brando. Anyway, Marlon Brando was basically kind of losing his mind towards his career, and by the time he made Apocalypse Now, he was pretty much just loopy. And Francis Ford Coppola, he respected him as an actor, so he would just kind of let him do whatever. And I think there was one scene in particular where he kept like tearing his pants or something like that, and so they had to keep buying him pants. And at one point, he just refused to wear the pants while they were shooting the scene. And I think at that same scene, it took them like 8 hours to film it. And they ended up going over budget on film because they had to keep going out and buying more stock. Because Marlon Brando just refused to actually act. He refused to do anything.
I think he just kind of went crazy though. Because wasn't that like the whole? I think he just kind of went crazy. Wasn't that like the whole case with the island of Dr. Monroe?
Like, oh yeah, like
he
made all sorts of just strange requests and stuff like that.
Well, didn't they actually like start rewriting that movie based off the crazy shit Marlon Brando was doing, just because they couldn't keep up?
Well, yeah, they had to, because there was things that he would just come up with right there on set. Like he just decided that he needed to have, what was it? I think a monkey, if I remember right, for Island of Dr. Moreau. Like he had to have a monkey, and he wore a bucket on his head. That was not in the script. That was all just him and his decision to just decide to just do that stuff at random.
He decided because they had a guy in the movie that was the world's smallest man.
Yeah, that's what.
And
Yeah.
Marlon Brando loved that guy, so he decided like he needed to be in the movie as much as possible.
Like in every scene with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Marlon Brando, like when Frankenheimer took over the movie, he like wanted to sit down and rewrite the movie like after they'd been filming for months.
Hmm.
There's a documentary about that, isn't there?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
it's called Lost Souls. It's on Netflix. It's Lost Souls, the uh, story of Richard Stanley's Island of Dr. Moreau. I can't. It's something Lost Souls something.
I'm gonna look that up. I want to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to
know.
see that too.
So I'd like
I
to
remember-
point out that Ryan basically called the world's smallest man a monkey. Is that?
Well, no,
Well,
I
I think
couldn't
that's
remember.
all-
I haven't seen that movie in forever. I mean, I couldn't remember if it was a monkey or if it was a human being or whatever. There was all sorts of weird things in that movie.
Hey man, I don't see species.
So the other thing with Apocalypse Now too was like the guy that Brando was supposed to play was a special forces or special ops soldier,
Hmm.
highly fit, lethal guy.
Yeah.
But that was right at the time he started putting on a massive amount of weight. He was a fat guy in that movie, and they had to try to hide that as much as they could.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that's why I think they filmed the scene the way that they did. They didn't really show him. I think from like here down, you just kind of see like bits and pieces of him here and there.
And he's like mostly in the dark.
Yeah, mostly in the dark and the shadows there. But yeah, apparently that whole thing though, his every bit of dialogue he had, it took him like eight or 9 hours or something like that to film it because that's not counting setup time, because he just refused to act. Coppola would say action, and he'd just sit there and do nothing. But rather than stop and let him lose his moment, they just kept filming. They just kept rolling, and they just kept replacing film canister after film canister after film canister.
It kind of surprised me that he would put up with that as a director, just knowing him,
Coppola, yeah.
Yeah.
It does kind of surprise me, but given the circumstances and the actor that they were working with, I would have to say that Coppola was probably, my guess is he probably feared for his life if he said cut.
Yeah,
Because he's dealing with one of the craziest actors in Hollywood, so.
it's shocking that Marlon Brando still had a career after that. That he was still making movies like into the 90s. Just because by that point, that behavior of his was really well established.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Kirk Douglas was really, or not Kirk Douglas, Martin Sheen was really drunk off his ass at the beginning scene when he punched that mirror. That wasn't scripted. That's real blood. He was really shit-faced.
Yeah.
For that scene with the.
Well, that was
and all that jazz.
that happened in Django Unchained.
Oh yeah, that was an accident too, huh?
Yeah, when Leonardo DiCaprio goes to break a glass on the table, he actually broke the glass. I don't think he was supposed to do that, and broke it in his hand, and he cut the hell out of his hand.
Stayed in character.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good scene. That really was cool.
That's where you can kind of tell like a good actor is when stuff goes off the walls and they just kind of keep acting.
Yeah.
Goes unexpected.
Well, it's kind of like what's his name from Lincoln?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis. Like that guy's something else, I guess, to work with. Because he's one of them types that dives so deep into those characters.
He just
method
lives
actor
the character for the entire
that
time.
he can be extremely difficult. I'm sure that the cast much preferred working with Daniel Day-Lewis as Lincoln than Daniel Day-Lewis as what's his name from Gangs of New York.
Oh yeah.
Or There Will Be Blood. That guy would have been hard to be around.
I can't remember. I heard an interview with an actor talking about Daniel Day-Lewis recently. And he was basically shitting on him, but he was like, actually, I think it was Bob Odenkirk talking from the Better Call Saul podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But he said something along the lines of, he's like, yeah, it's crazy. This guy, becomes these guys. He lives them for multiple months at a time. He's like, what? Instead, I just choose to act. Being an actor, that's what your job is. So.
Like when he did My Left Foot.
Didn't he make people carry him around?
Yep. Well, he made people feed him, and he stayed in that wheelchair the whole time. Like he
I'd
refused to.
let his ass go hungry. Like, hey, die.
Yeah, he's pretty out there.
So first, Derek wishes the Click and Clack It brothers were
Click
dead.
and
Now,
Clack.
Robert,
We ain't never going to get that name right. It's Click and Clack, the Tappet brothers.
so Derek wishes bad things upon them. Now you're wishing that Daniel Day-Lewis would die. Man,
No. I didn't say I wish he would die. I'm just
Let
saying.
him
If I
starve.
was doing a movie with
let
Daniel
him
Day-Lewis,
starve was a
who
direct
was
quote.
pretending to be a quadriplegic, and he's like, "You have to feed me because I'm hungry." I'd be like, "No, no. I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna get something to eat, and you can watch me do that if you want to, or you can come over there and eat with me. But I'm not gonna feed you at all." That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Just so we're clear. Are we good now?
So just note to self: don't hire Daniel Day-Lewis for a Robert movie.
For a quadriplegic Robert movie. Now, if he wants to be Abe Lincoln and tell me cool jokes and great heartwarming stories for hours on end, I'm down with that. I'll share my corn dogs with him. But
That's your corn dogs. Is that like your new form of currency?
I don't know.
Do you pay your actors in corn dogs?
I don't know where that came from. I didn't even like corn dogs that much. But yeah. So okay, this is getting uncomfortable. Shall we move on?
Yes.
Before Robert says any more un-American things, like he doesn't like corn dogs.
So we lost Ryan. His computer died. So I guess we're gonna move on from him. I'll tell my story. So my story is kind of cool, and Jake knows about it. So
Robert and I listen to all the same NPR podcasts.
Yeah,
so.
we're NPR podcast listeners. So apparently about 3 years ago, or probably more like 5 years ago now, stories started leaking out about this Russian guy making a movie out in the Ukraine. And what he did was, I don't even know what the hell this movie's supposed to be about. I don't think anybody does. I don't think we're ever going to see it. But what this guy did was he set up his movie outside of a Ukrainian town of a couple million people. He built his own town, right? He had in excess of 210,000 extras, right? Because what he wanted to do was not have a set where people would come to the set and they would shoot a scene and then they'd cut and then they'd clean the scene up and reset and whatnot and people would go home at the end of the day. He wanted to create a world in which the cast and crew lived in it, and it was set in 1950s Russia. It was a period piece. So instead of having setting up scenes with cameras, he would put cameras in different places, clocks, and hidden in different places. And he did this like for over 6 years. And these people just carried on their lives as if they were living in this time. And I don't know what the story was about, so I couldn't tell you what scenes were about or how they would set up stuff.
And it hasn't came out yet, and odds are
Yeah.
it probably won't.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's filming I don't know how many rolls of film for 24 hours a day, years, right? Well, so the story gets out that this is going on, and this reporter from someplace, I don't know where, gets a hold of this, and he wants to go interview this guy, figure out what the hell's going on. So he finds him, he tracks him down, right? Him and a cameraman, they go, and after some negotiating, he's allowed to come in and interview people and kind of get a feel of what's going on, with the condition that he conform to this director's vision, right? So this director has set him up a totalitarian type city, for lack of a better word. In fact, I'll read you a blurb. I looked this up. I found this. So there's an article in GQ magazine posted, but the first paragraph goes like this. 5 years ago, a relatively unknown and unhinged, I like that part, director began one of the wildest experiments in film history. Armed with total creative control, he invaded a Ukrainian city, marshaled a cast of thousands and thousands, and constructed a totalitarian society in which the cameras were always rolling and the actors never go home. And so this guy that wrote this article, he gets embedded into this society, but he's got to dress like one of the people in this town. He's got to talk like one of the people in this town, and do everything the director tells him to do. Like the director's got total control. And at one point during this investigation that this reporter's got going on, his cameraman gets into a spat with the director. Now the director's got such control over these people, he's more or less
It's like a dictatorship, basically.
yeah, he's got total control over these guys. He convinces this reporter that this camera guy's got to go.
It's like almost brainwashing.
Yeah, exactly what it was. And so without hesitation, and this reporter gave an interview afterwards. He says, "I knew what I was doing was wrong. I knew it, but I did it anyway." He got rid of the damn photographer so that he could keep going on with his story. And it was nuts. And they did this for however long he did it, like something like 6 years, over 210 extras, 210,000 extras, and then just quit. And he went home. And we don't know if the film that he made will ever come out.
And I recall from kind of hearing the story that people would be kind of put in fake jail or punished, or they would get the crappy jobs in the city if they spoke about things that didn't exist in that time period. Like one guy was caught having a watch that was obviously modern. You know, there was no cell phones, nothing like that inside the city.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was bizarre, the control that he imposed on people. And then, like, you know, it's weird too, because, you know, I mean, you get hired for a job, you go to work, and you can never leave. They moved these people there, and they had to live like they lived in 1950s Russia, which I can't imagine was good.
Well,
Right.
and basically didn't he kind of almost have like an unlimited budget through something like almost with the government or something weird, and as this kind of got pressed, they finally shut it down. But I think it was being funded through like the state's film curation, you know what I mean?
I think that's right. I think
Yeah.
Russia does a lot of that kind of
So,
stuff.
and I think it was Ukraine actually, but the fictional
it
town
was-
took place in Russia.
Was it Ukraine? Because I was thinking he was Russian, but it was in the Ukraine.
I think they were filming in the Ukraine, but the story was taking place in a Russian town. Like the set town was actually in the Ukraine, but it took place in Russia.
Okay.
But I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and track that down. I think it was like we were talking. It might have been Snap Judgment or the TED Radio Hour.
Yeah, it was one of those two. Well, and then there's this GQ magazine article, and I guess too at one point the director actually made one of his actresses kind of seduce this guy so that he could manipulate him that way, like a real good-looking woman. It's bizarre, just really weird for a freaking movie. This guy, this director, just thrived off of the control that he set up for himself in this little world. I bet he cried the day he shut it all down. I bet that was terrible.
You got such a smile on your face.
Yeah, well, I mean, can't you
You're
picture
like,
that?
I bet you that
I mean,
pussy cried.
yeah. I mean, this is essentially some nerdy kid that never had nothing his whole life. He sets him up this really great gig where he's total control, and he knows that tomorrow he's going to suck again. He's going to go back to real world where he probably didn't know shit about
And then he's
movie
got
making.
like 10 million hours of footage.
Yeah, he knows he's never going to produce. I mean, they're, you know, I don't know. That was a crazy story. What do you think, Matt?
What is the name of this? Or you thought the name was?
The director?
No, like the movie.
I don't think it has a name.
It's like on scam territory. It's almost like kind of what happened here.
It sounds like a combination of the Truman Show and Synecdoche, New York.
Yeah. What's the name of the director, Robert?
Dude, I can't pronounce this. Okay, I spell it for you. How about that?
I spell it for you. Okay.
Okay, first name is Iiya. Maybe that's an L. Ilya.
Yeah, it sounds like Ilya is what you probably want to be saying.
All right, Mr. Smarty Pants, pronounce the last name. Are you ready? Khrzhanovsky. Trzanowski.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Why
that's
don't
that's.
you,
I kind of need to see it. That's a little bit more than 4 letters.
why don't you pop it into pop us the GQ article?
Oh, I think I might have found it. Kurznovsky.
What, that sounds a lot like.
Too many consonants.
Yeah, way too many.
Krzanovsky.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said that 4 times.
What is
Exactly like that. I said it 4 times, just like that.
We don't
Oh,
edit this podcast, Robert. So
Oh,
I can't
okay.
make you sound smarter like I do with all the other ones.
Fair enough.
I
Fair
think
enough.
I found it. I think the film is actually called Dow.
Does it have a translation?
Tentatively, it's only tentatively titled Dao. Which, by the way, isn't that Chinese, Dao? I'm pretty sure that's Chinese.
Yeah, you'd know, corn dog hater.
I don't hate corn dogs. It's just they're not my favorite.
Yeah, I think you'd say his last name something like Krzanovsky, something like that.
It's weird.
Yeah, I found a NPR article about it. So
Yeah, you should really check that out. It's a really fascinating story. It's like when I was listening to it, it reminded me of I don't remember the guy's name with you might know, Matt. Your wife would know for sure.
The Truman Show. Jim Carrey.
The sociology professor that did that experiment with prisoners and college kids.
oh, I should be able to say the name of that one. It's
It was the Stanford study or something like that.
yeah,
Stanford.
it's called the Stanford Prison Experiment.
That's what it was.
Yeah, and that's an interesting one too because that dealt with totalitarian control and the way that stuff works. What was really interesting is when you listen to that, you know, they tell you that story, and then you find out that this entire fiasco with that study took place over the course of 10 hours.
It was like a weekend, I think.
It got that bad that quickly that the girlfriend made him kill it.
Yeah, the Philip Zimbardo.
Did he also do the electrocution study too? Was that the same guy?
I think that was an earlier experiment.
That was
Wasn't it the
Ghostbusters.
same guy?
I don't think so.
No, I think that was like from the 1950s, and the Stanford thing was the late 60s, wasn't it?
Yeah, 60s, 70s, I think. But I'm pretty sure the electrical one was earlier.
What we're talking about.
Yeah, it was definitely
since
earlier, but I was thinking it was the same dude, but maybe not.
So basically, the electrical one was they had an actor in another room, and they had a computer, and the scientists keep telling him every time this guy answers a question wrong, shock him with more electricity. So they're turning up the dial and they're shocking the guy. They wanted to, and the guy keeps screaming. The guy's not actually hooked up to the electricity, but they wanted to see how far somebody would go because a person in power or authority is telling them to do something, you know. So some of these people would continue shocking a person they thought in the other room because somebody in a lab coat kept telling them to, basically.
Yeah, and the results were like in the 90th percentile somewhere of people that would comply all the way to the end. And
it was like a lethal dose of electricity is basically what they thought they would be giving this guy.
Or potentially lethal. Yeah, they didn't think they were electrocuting people to death, but yeah, like you know, guys screaming about heart condition and stuff like that. But what it was a way for sociologists or whatever they're called to understand what happened in Nazi Germany. Why so many people complied with what was going on over there, because it was really easy for everybody else to point a finger and be like, you should have known better. But what this guy realized is that that's human nature. There's nothing that the Germans could have done about it.
And what the Stanford prison study was basically they took 2 groups of volunteer students and randomly assigned them as prisoners and some as guards, and they basically gave complete control to the guards. And I think it was, you know, it might have been 10 hours or like over the course of a weekend or something. The guards had like, you know, started almost beating people and like, you know, they like made them naked, right? Something along those lines, kind of.
They were definitely hazing him. I'm not sure how far the hazing went. It was. I don't think it ever got
like 2 to 4 days, maybe somewhere in that neighborhood, and then they had to shut it down
because it was just getting too crazy.
I don't know that it ever got physical though. I think it was all psychological. Like they didn't beat them, but yeah, they would drag them out in the hallway, or make them go out in the hallway, and they would insult them, and
I thought
Well,
they
one of the
like made
things
him
that
prance around naked or something, didn't
they
they?
might have made a press on there. It could have. But like one of the
Something.
things that they did is they took away their names and gave them all numbers, and
Yep.
that apparently had a big psychological effect on them. But yeah, it might have lasted a couple days. I thought it didn't last even a whole day, but it was supposed to last much longer. And it was the girlfriend, the professor's girlfriend, that shut it down.
You know what
Yeah,
a crazy movie would be, where you take a bunch of actors and make them do that in real life.
yeah.
You make a movie
That was
of the
called
Stanford prison test.
that was called
You
Tropic
basically
Thunder.
remake it.
His
Oh yeah.
his girlfriend was also one of his students.
Yeah, because that's ethical. Well, apparently it is in college. And in Rapid
It's
City.
a
Is there an inside story here, Robert, that you need to elaborate on?
Yeah, apparently some female teacher got busted yesterday or not too long ago for having unprofessional relations with multiple students.
Wow.
Yeah, we're one of those states now.
Well, so are we done talking about movies and Dirty Sprocket and just on to
I think
philosophy and psychology
yeah, I think
and gossip?
we're so good at getting sidetracked. Yeah, I think that's anything anybody else wants to bring up.
I think we need to probably put an end to this before it gets any more out of control.
Oh, man, we got 4 more minutes and we'll go a whole hour. We got to do something to redeem ourselves so that Derek's not too disappointed tomorrow when he watches this.
We got to tell them, you got to wait till the last 4 minutes
Ryan,
because they
What?
are
You gotta
incredible.
say something real funny right now.
Holy shit, he's right there.
Like peanut butter and jelly.
That's just not funny. Okay, let's
butter jelly. Peanut butter jelly.
yeah, let's call it a night. Ryan's not funny. All right. Yeah. So we'll say that's it for this week's Sprocket Docket number 11. If you're watching, thanks for watching. Did we have any? Did you guys know? I wasn't even watching because I'm not as good as Derek. But did we have anybody watching us? Did we have any live?
I
I
don't
don't
think
know
so.
how to tell.
I don't either. Was Superfan Woodsy watching? I don't know. He didn't. I mean,
I never saw anybody enter the chat, so it doesn't look like anybody did at any point.
I must have known Derek wasn't going to be here. That's fair. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for watching. If you watch this, I'm sure you will. And then check back with us on Thursday. We're gonna drop our next MySQL podcast, which is gonna be Force Awakens. Comment if you like it, and do us a favor too, because we're on iTunes now. So even if you don't download it from iTunes and you like it, go to iTunes for us and leave us a comment, because that helps other people find it, and then we can
Ratings and reviews.
yeah, we can spread the word and we can get more people that watch us, the better we do. That's how that works. See, so and then Derek won't be gone as often. Did Jake leave?
No,
I think he left.
Did he leave
Nope.
us?
I'm putting the logo up.
Oh, you're putting logo up, so I'll shut up. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. I gotta. There's a process to this, Jake. You can't just do that shit. You gotta warn us. I gotta.
Come on, man.
All right.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. Okay, here it comes. Boom. Hit the play button, and we'll get the hell out of here.
Hey, look, there's my mouse.
Bye.
Sprocket Docket, yay!
All right,
Okay.
kill it.
Good night, world.
No,